Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, welcome aboard. I am Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com, which I happen to be the Grand Poobah. Tonight is Wednesday, July 8th, 2020. This is episode 510. Yep, 510 of The Daily Dope. This is your first time joining me, let me point out that it's just a very, very casual show. For the most part, we talk tabletop gaming, mainly what's on the horizon, different news items, things like that. It is not rocket surgery by any stretch of the imagination, nor do I approach it as if it were. So I do want to mention that if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. And of course, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't yet, and ring that notification bell, because it will not only let you know when the Daily Dope streams live Monday through Thursday nights right here on YouTube. It'll also tell you when I upload other videos as well, such as today's look at the Starfinder flip tiles space station starter set. So yes, I did make this one public today. Tomorrow morning, you will be able to take a peek at the Pathfinder Arcane spell cards. So that will be arriving as well. So we've got that on the horizon too. So also should say, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Of course, this is a live stream, so that also means that there is chat available on YouTube. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay, but I do my best to pay attention to chat. So if you want to say howdy, or maybe you've got a question or a comment, by all means, please chime in and I will respond. Speaking of chats, Dan from No Enemies Here has arrived. Hello, Dan. Good to see you. Welcome aboard from the Great White North. Although right now it's not white. So it's probably pretty green where you're at. Flaming Huron is popping into chat as well. So I've got a pretty good-sized slate of news for us today. Also something I'm going to talk about happened a little earlier. It kind of falls into the whole category of some of the things I've been talking about on recent shows, as well as during my interview with Dan over at No Enemies Here. But we're going to talk about that a little bit after the news, because for one, I don't have the entire scoop on it. And I like to know what's going on before I start commenting. You know, I don't want to be sitting there going, oh, and then all of a sudden it's like, ooh, well, that was not what was going on. So I do not like to jump to conclusions. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. So let's jump on into the news. Because it is Wednesday, that means Wargame Wednesday, right? Let's get some Wargame news out there, because now shipping from Tiny Battle Publishing is A Matter of Honor. I've got the dope. Long before it became the site of Charles Lindbergh's Landing after his first air crossing of the Atlantic Ocean, and later of a renowned international air show, the town of Le Bourget, I think that's how it's pronounced, in the outskirts of Paris, was the scene of a bloody battle between the French army and the Prussian forces besieging Paris in October 1870 during the Franco-Prussian War. A Matter of Honor is an action-packed two-player tactical board game using a simple but effective area impulse activation system. The game captures the dramatic intensity of the Battle of Le Bourget and its desperate house-to-house fighting. Added chrome includes Random event cards featuring historical events players may use to influence the outcome of the battle. Units are companies of elite Prussian guards facing determined French regulars and National Guardsmen in a fight to the finish and for a matter of honor. Matter of Honor is for 2 players, ages 12 and up, plays in 2 or more hours, and is available right now at a discounted price of $35. It'll normally be $39. So this is shipping. So if you do order it, it is shipping now. So you'll be able to grab it right away. I am kind of surprised, being a Franco-Prussian war game, my friend Herman Lettman has been designing a lot of Franco-Prussian war stuff lately. So I was kind of surprised when I first heard about this a while ago. I thought, oh, hey, it's got to be Herman, but it's not. This is not a Herman Lettman design. So there, stupid me. I thought right away, oh, it's a Herman's design in this one. Nope, it is not. Those look kind of interesting with the area control. So it's not your usual hex encounters, kind of extravaganza, I guess we shall say. So far, we just had a little hiccup in the stream, but so far we're looking okay. In the past, no, see, as soon as I said that, now it's kind of bouncing all over the place. All right, let me see something here. It shouldn't be too bad because I haven't seen it go to like 0. Let me take a quick peek here. Sometimes if I play around with this one setting, it kind of straightens things out. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just imagining that. So, like I said, I still think this is actually YouTube related, because I have had no issues uploading anything all day. I don't know. Downloading anything. I don't know. It looks like we're okay, though. All right. Let's move on to our next news piece, because coming this August from Inside Up Games is a new zombie board game which is set in the Old West. Here's the dope on the quick and the undead. I like that. The undead. Not the quick and the dead, it's the quick and the undead. Right into Westfort, a small town in the Wild West, overrun with undead, and show the inhabitants you are not to be crossed. Gain more notoriety than your fellow outlaws. Take control of the town and claim it as your own. Plan your actions carefully to maximize their effect and prepare to fight over common goals. Earn, steal, and shoot your way to notoriety, whether in-game, by controlling unique buildings, or by clearing out the undead plaguing the town. Shoot first, ask never. The Quick and the Undead is played over days, and each day is broken into 3 rounds of actions. Each round begins with all players simultaneously and secretly selecting one of the 8 actions by setting the corresponding number on their D8. Players reveal their numbers simultaneously and place an outlaw from their stash onto their chosen action. Players will take their turns in descending numerical order, starting with hired guns and continuing from action 8 down to action 2. If 2 or more players have an outlaw on the same action, they will duel. At the end of a player's turn, if they have enough money and there are no undead in the street, they may purchase a building to gain its unique action. If there's already an outlaw in the building, those outlaws will shoot out for control. After all players have taken their turn, round 2 of the day will begin. However, outlaws may not return to an action they've already had an outlaw at. After 3 rounds, the current day is over, and all players collect outlaws used on action spaces, not in buildings, and return them to their stash. Outlaws that have been killed are left in the graveyard and not collected. At the end of a day in which there are less undead than players, the game will end, and the players will add up their notoriety from tokens taken, undead killed, and buildings owned, if that building has been emptied of undead. The player with the highest notoriety wins. In the event of a tie, the outlaw with more money wins. And if you're still tied, the tied outlaws will duel to the death. Now remember, they said outlaws, not players. The players aren't gonna sit there and duel to the death. The Quick and the Undead is for 1 to 6 players, ages 8 and up, plays in about 45 minutes to an hour, and will carry an MSRP of $42 when it arrives in August. I gotta say, I always have a soft spot for zombie games. I know. One of my favorite games is Dawn of the Zeds. Speaking of Herman Luttman earlier, right? So this looks kind of interesting, although I have to laugh, and it's showing it right now that the town newspaper is called the Town Newspaper. Zoinks! It's like, what? Ha ha. So Dan Lane is joining us, saying that it's a shout out from the hospital. They're undergoing brain surgery prep. Holy snikes. Geez, Dan. Hopefully everything will end up okay. Sending out good thoughts your way. Wow. And here you're sitting there watching my nonsense while you're getting ready for some serious surgery. My goodness. Well, like I said, healing thoughts heading your way. We're dropping frame scan. For crying out loud. I really do not know what's going on with this. I really don't. Everything's been fine. Everything's been fine for quite some time. And I don't know. Let's go back real quick. I am going to, because I can actually do this, I believe, inside this. I think. I have to double check to make sure that the mic is still working. I wonder if, I don't know. Because it's still fluctuating. It's just not fluctuating as much as it was before. I wonder if it's because I am using, a different program to try to do the audio. Now, see, it's dumping out again. Oh, well, it shouldn't be too bad because, like I said, I have not seen it drop down to 0 yet. But we are running at about 3% drop frames, and that is not cool. Okay, we'll see what's going on. Moving right along. Arcane Wonders today announced a party game based on the video games Hello Neighbor and Secret Neighbor. Yes, both those games. I've got the dope on, get ready, Hello Neighbor, the Secret Neighbor party game. Arcane Wonders, in partnership with Tiny Build, Evolution, and Genuine Entertainment, are excited to announce the upcoming tabletop game Hello Neighbor, the Secret Neighbor party game, designed by Ariel Rubin and Juliana Patel. Building off the wildly successful Hello Neighbor and Secret Neighbor video games, this social deduction game brings the world of Hello Neighbor to the real world. Plucking from classics like Werewolf and The Resistance, this new game requires no narrator and no eliminations, ensuring everyone at the table remains engaged. 5 to 10 players take on the roles of either one of the neighborhood kids, the treacherous neighbor, or even a secret neighbor. As one of the kids, you'll need to use your items wisely if you are to locate the keys and unlock the door to win. But beware, as not only are the neighbors at the table trying to trick you into voting to let them use a key, but one of your fellow kids is actually a secret neighbor. If one neighbor convinces the kids to let them use a key, then the neighbors have won. So the kids must all use their deduction skills to figure out who they can trust. Hello Neighbor, the Secret Neighbor party game will be available everywhere early October 2020, with a limited number of copies available during Gen Con Virtual. So there's that. The game is, once again, for 5 to 10 players, ages 8 and up. That sounds kind of weird. Doesn't talk about this in a moment. Does play in around 30 minutes and will carry an MSRP of $19.99 when it arrives in stores on October 1st. Once again, there will be some copies available during Gen Con Virtual. I have to point out that I have not played Hello Neighbor. I have not played Secret Neighbor. I sort of know the storyline. So isn't the neighbor like a murderer? So, and it doesn't, at least in Hello Neighbor, he's a murderer, right? Didn't he murder his daughter? And then he kidnaps one of the neighborhood kids? Isn't that a little strange? subject to have for a party game for ages 8 and up. Plus, I got to point out, and yes, I apologize to Arcane Wonders out there. This cover just sort of creeps me out a little bit. I'm not going to say what it brings to mind, but I think some people out there might figure it out. So, all right. Dan Lane has, I believe, had to leave. So, all the best, Dan. Hopefully, Dan keeps us informed on how he's doing. Like I said, big fingers crossed here. Anyway, so this is a party game that's on Horizon. And interestingly enough, the PR person from Arcane Wonders reached out to me today, even though I had run across this news piece, I was going to use it. And because Tony Galati used to be their PR guy. And I know Tony from when Tony designed, now I can't even remember the name of the game for Greenbrier. The Kung Fu kind of, well, sort of. It's like the tactical combat game, the kind of Japanese mythologically themed combat game. It's something Tides. I can't remember the name of it. But he was with Arcane Wonders, and then he left, and now he's their like the PR guy, director of marketing, what have you, for Czech Games Edition. So, like I said, the new PR person for Arcane Wonders reached out to me and said, hey, let me send you the official press release. So who knows? We might get back on board with Arcane Wonders. They've got that cell phone board game that looks pretty interesting, where each of the players represents a cell phone company that's just, like an international cell phone company, right when the cell phone craze was hitting. Looks kind of interesting. So let's move on to some role-playing game news, because arriving soon from Bully Pulpit Games is the second edition of Fiasco, or what's actually being called Fiasco in a Box. And here's the dope. The original Fiasco is an award-winning GM-less game for 3 to 5 players, designed to be played in a few hours with 6-sided dice and no preparation. During a game, you engineer and play out stupid, disastrous situations, usually at the intersection of greed, fear, and lust. It's like making your own Coen Brothers movie in about the same amount of time it'd take to watch one. Fiasco is inspired by cinematic tales of small-time capers gone disastrously wrong, inspired by films like Blood Simple, Fargo, The Way of the Gun, Burn After Reading, and A Simple Plan. Man, A Simple Plan, that was a really good movie. Actually, all of these are really good movies. You play ordinary people with powerful ambition and poor impulse control. The new Fiasco retains all the features familiar to old friends, while being much more welcoming to new ones. We've tossed out all the dice and index cards and replaced them with playing cards. Setup elements? On cards. Tilt, aftermath, and positive and negative outcomes? On cards. It speeds up play, adds intuitive, strong visual appeal, and just plain improves the play experience. Fiasco in a Box is for 3 to 5 players, ages 14 and up, plays in around 2 hours, or a little bit more, depends on what you're doing. And it will carry an MSRP of $30 when it arrives in stores in Q3. So we should be seeing it next fairly soon. I've heard varying talk about when this arrives. I do know that it is being shipped out to the Kickstarter backers because this second edition was kickstarted. And if you are not familiar with Fiasco, and if Dan from No Enemies Here is still hanging around, this is a fantastic game to get into when you're, even if you don't know like about role-playing games, because you don't need a game master. It's pretty self-contained. You play in a few hours and everybody gets their time in the spotlight to shine. So the one aspect of it that might not be up Dan's alley is, as I mentioned, talking about the game itself, it plays out like a Coen Brothers movie. That said, they've got all these different play sets. There are play sets out there that are not necessarily where everybody is kind of, like a criminal and things like that. So want to point that out. So Fiasco in a Box is coming. I've reached out to Bully Pulpit Games to see if maybe I can get somebody on board and maybe do a Skype interview and talk about the new edition of Fiasco. Don't know. We'll see. We'll find out if they get back to me or not. All right. On to some more role-playing game news as I see that Nefarious Coel has joined us in chat. Good to see you, Nefarious. Parts Per Million has released solo rules for the popular Mothership RPG. Here's the dope on Lone Star. This rule supplement allows you to play Mothership without a warden. And for Dan out there, the warden is actually what the game master's called in Mothership. Because during my interview with Dan, we were talking about all the different titles that the game masters have throughout all the various different games out there. And Kabuki Kid is showing up in chat. Good to see you, Double K. Anyway, so this rule supplement does allow you to play Mothership without a warden. It does this by using some very simple game mechanics that are fully in keeping with the Mothership gameplay. These should be instantly recognizable to a Mothership fan. Mothership is not a game of rolling skills at every challenge. It is one of imaginative play and the warden creating challenges to put your character under stress. These rules turn questions you would normally have as your warden into prompts for your own improvisation. They suggest points where plot twists should throw your characters off or introduce new threats. Solo works best with a single crew member under your control. You are the star of the show, and the story is all about you. In Mothership, the way that stress and panic cascades through the crew are important elements. These rules give you tools to create crew members and have their behaviors faithful to their own agendas, without you having to roleplay them as complete PCs. This booklet is going to go to print at some time in the future. So this download contains two different versions of the PDF. One, black text on white. The other is inverted, so it is white text on black. When it's decided which is the better looking and most functional, that is when a print-ready PDF will appear. And of course, it'll probably be available as a soft cover as well. Lone Star Solo Rules for Mothership clocks in at 24 pages. It's available at DriveThruRPG for $4.99. I have got to take a peek at Mothership because I have heard some really good things about Mothership, especially if you're trying to, from my understanding, I might be completely wrong, but from my understanding, if you are trying to put together a game that is a little more gritty, kind of a space, not such space opera, but a little more gritty, realistic science fiction, say like a movie like Outland, right, with Sean Connery. I think this is a system that you really do that with. All right. Flaming Heron says, well, the GM in the Aliens RPG will be really confusing. Yes, right. So Nefarious says, Mothership is a nice little toolkit. I think it's supposed to be really, really nice, like you said, a toolkit along the lines of like Stars Without Number is just a fantastic toolkit, even if you're not going to use their game mechanics in it. So yes, Nefarious Koala is talking about Game Mother. Yes, because that is what the game master in the Alien RPG from Free League Publishing is called. It's the Game Mother. Man. Nefarious is asking if it's black text with white background. Yes, there's both versions are part of this download. So Kabuki Kid says, hey, I just saw Outland like a month ago. First time since the 80s. I have not seen that movie in a long time either, but I do remember that was one of the first, I think it was one of the first science fiction movies I actually went to see with my dad, interestingly enough. I was just talking about Free League Publishing, right? Well, now available as a free download from Free League Publishing is Ruins of Symbaroum For 5th edition, I've got the dope. The Ruins of Symbaroum starter PDF can be seen as a proof of concept or a trial balloon meant to provoke a reaction from you, the potential players, from within the established Symbaroum community, as well as the broader family of tabletop role playing gamers. From another perspective, it can be seen as the result of a process that has taken more than 2 years. It has been a dance of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, searching for the perfect way to align the game concept, Jeff. Yes, let's try speaking English here. So they're searching for the perfect way to align the game concept to the open game license while still staying true to what Symbaroum is: gritty, deadly, and full of dark mysteries. Of course, the fact that the systems share some similarities to begin with has made the dance both more enjoyable and less strenuous. So now it's your turn to contribute. We hope to meet you at conventions, on the Free League forum, and other social media platforms where Symbaroum is discussed. We hope that you'll help us elevate and evaluate this concept and tell us what you would like to see in the future. Our intention is clear. We want to adapt much of the original Symbaroum game line to the 5e open game license. But first, let's flood the dance floor and keep on dancing. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Together, we can make this marriage between the wondrous world of Symbaroum and the most popular game mechanics of our time. What could they be talking about there, huh? Into something really special. Happy gaming! The 92-page Ruins of Symbaroum PDF is available absolutely free at Drive-Thru RPG. Of course, whenever I talk about Drive-Thru RPG, keep in mind that the Gaming Gang and thus the Daily Dope are affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to swing by, say, Drive-Thru RPG, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads, and that way, if you do make a purchase, I get a little portion of that sale. So I thought this is kind of interesting, but kind of weird. And it looks like some other folks in chat are also mentioning this about Symbaroum. So Nefarious Coel says, I like the native Symbaroum rule set. No need for 5e with it. Yeah, I don't know. So Flaming Heron says, my only issue with the 5e edition is that people want to run one version or the other. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I have not really had an opportunity to dive into Symbaroum at all. See, personally, I would have assumed that it uses the year one engine that many of the other Free League publishing titles use. So I don't know. I have no clue. So that is it for the news tonight. So kind of rocked through that pretty quickly. So as I mentioned in the open of the show, so I see today on Twitter that I guess game designer Eric Lang's Twitter account was suspended today. And according to Eric Martin over at Board Game Geek, it is because that people flooded Twitter with false claims of, I guess, Eric doing something nefarious on his feed or something like that. So I have also, somebody also floated out there that Eric tried to block 80,000 Twitter accounts at one time. And Twitter freaked out about that. I don't know. I do not know what exactly happened. All I know is that Eric Lang, game designer Eric Lang, who happens to be African American, was his Twitter feed was suspended. His Twitter account was suspended. So Nefarious Coel says, Twitter drama, no thanks. Yes, we've had enough of this, haven't we? So I'm just throwing it out there because I because of what's been going on, I assume, maybe some people are wondering, well, what's your thoughts, Jeff? I don't have any thoughts at the moment because I don't know exactly what happened. I do understand that Eric Lang is a bigger target than usual because there are folks out there who do believe that he's the guy who got Origins Online canceled. Meh. So there, Kabuki Kid's like, what's the beef against Eric? You must have been typing that just as I was saying that. I know this for a fact because on No Enemies Here, somebody commented on that video on my interview talking about activist Eric Lang. Doesn't even spell his name right. And he's the guy who got Origins shut down, canceled, and Game, which is Gamma, who's the organization behind Origins, not Game. So I love some of these people like on YouTube and Twitter. It's like, they know everything. Bam, bam, bam. It's like, okay, number one, you can't even spell the guy's name right. Number two, it's Gamma who runs, Origins. And three, they were like, because I said, you know what, you're obviously an ass clown who I'm not going to waste time with. And they're like, oh yeah, nice comeback. I can see where you get the gang part of your podcast. It's like, what fucking podcast, dude? Like, fucking idiots. So Glenn Darren had mentioned, and we have Glenn pop into chat every once in a while. He had mentioned on Twitter that he was replying to something I had tweeted out. And he said that the game store he used to go to had some gamers like, that you probably don't want at your table who kind of ran the show there and drove a lot of people out. And I guess Glenn had to go find a new place to go game at. Man, I just, I don't know. I don't get it. Just goes to show there are more scumbags and losers involved in this hobby than we'd care to admit. Anyway, thankfully, the vast majority of us are relatively normal. And like I said before, who you have at your own game table, that is your business. The kind of games you play around your table, that is your business. As long as nobody gets their eyes poked out. And, fine. Knock yourself out with whatever gaming you want to do. It's when that flows over into the public and you start impacting people who do not want to be sitting at your game table. So, yes, Kabuki Kid says there are always fringe idiots in all circles. Oh, yeah. I mean, and look at any kind of fandom these days. It's like, gosh, I always go back to the time that Dan Slott was getting death threats because of the Spider-Man storyline. And I was like, you people do realize this is a comic book. It's like none of these people are real. And it's, it's like, you don't own that. That's not your intellectual property. That's Marvel's intellectual property. They can do whatever they want with it. They could have Spider-Man grow like extra arms. Oh, wait, they did that before. Anyway, so as I mentioned, I uploaded the look at the flip tiles. So I know a Gray Day, who usually hangs out in chat, was looking forward to checking this out. Pretty interesting. I was a little disappointed that there's a lot of duplication in this. So I guess that's why this carries a $34.99 MSRP. But if you get the PDF, it's $10.49. So, but I mean, still very useful. It looked very useful. Like I said, I was just a little disappointed. There was a bit of duplication with these. So tomorrow, like I said, you are going to have an opportunity to check out the Arcane spell cards. So Kabuki Kid says the latest is people flipping out over The Last of Us. Yes, The Last of Us 2. Sending death threats to voice actors because they're angry at the characters in the game that they played. That's a special kind of stupid. I know, isn't it? I just don't get it. And the main voice actor that they're all up in arms against has done loads of different voice roles for a lot of cool stuff. It's like, give me a break. You do realize once again, these are not real characters. Some of this kind of started back when Mass Effect 3 came out. And all these people were just super, super pissed off about the way it ended. In fact, I had a reviewer here, a friend of mine, Tony Manchin. He had reviewed it, and he was like, big thumbs down, and all, complaining about it. And it was sort of like, okay, once again, that's somebody's intellectual property, and that if that's how they wanted the story to end, I guess that's how it ended. Same thing like Game of Thrones. Was I super thrilled about the ending of it? No, not at all. But I didn't go like, oh, I'm killing somebody. I am going to kill somebody because I did not like the way that Game of Thrones has turned out. Kevin Thorpe is arrived in chat. Good to see you, Kevin. Popping in just before we wrap up. So, a few other things I do want to mention. Hopefully, when this stream is done, it's not all choppy in that. It should be okay. It looks like about 1.5% lost frames, drop frames, I should say, which is strange because usually we have none, not a single one. So Kabuki Kid says, yes, fans can be toxic. Yeah, they really can. They really, really can. I don't know. I'm a huge fan. I'm a big geek. I've been a geek for years. I was one of those, geeks back when geekery wasn't cool. And I've never been this wrapped up in stuff. I mean, wrapped up to the point where it's like, oh, Star Wars, no, what have you done? Whatever. Kabuki Kid's like, yeah, you're naming them all. Yeah, I know. Anyway, on Friday, I will be interviewing Mike Mason from Chaosium Inc. So we are going to talk Call of Cthulhu, gang. Very cool. I will do my best to see if I can get that uploaded on Friday because we're going to do the interview about 1 o'clock Central Time. That's 1 o'clock my time, or maybe it's 1:30. And that's about 7:30 in the evening, London time. So we should have some fun with that. Speaking of Call of Cthulhu, stay tuned. I will have my review of the Keeper rulebook. It's done. It's shot. It's just it's in the queue. And also my review of the Enemy in Shadows Companion. So lots of goodies on the horizon. Also, I just got the Game Mastery Guide for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So I'll see if I can maybe read through this over the weekend. Maybe crank out a review or at least do a first look at it. See, the thing is, it's been out for a bit. I don't know if doing a first look is really... Usually I like doing a first look page through when it hasn't even hit stores yet, because then that draws in a lot of views. Something that's already been out for a while, reviews usually bring people in. Just a page through, usually not. So I got other stuff cooking too. You'll have plenty of videos to kick back and watch. So Kevin Thorpe says Mike Mason lives near me. We go to the same game stores. Oh, nice. Very cool. Cover art by anyone big. I'm not sure what we're talking about there. The Furious Coel's talking about they just punched the Men of Iron Tri-Pack. Oh my gosh. What is it, 8.5? Is it 8.5 counter sheets? And there's small counters, they're not the big counters. Yowza. Yowza, yowza, yowza. So let's see. Flaming Heron says Game of Thrones. I'm more pissed that George is taking forever to write the books. And there's no indication he is finishing the books. I know. Yeah, see, and George R. Martin, I guess I should say. I don't want to say George Martin, and then people be like, oh, you mean the producer of the Beatles? No. So, only problem is he got a case of Jordanitis, Robert Jordanitis, because The Wheel of Time was supposed to be a trilogy, and then that sold so well that Robert Jordan was like, yeah, I'm just going to keep dragging this on out. In fact, he died before he could even finish it up. Brandon Sanderson had to wrap up that series. So I don't know. And I wonder if he's going to change up the ending to it. But, I don't think he's going to. If, of course, there's different characters in the books that never showed up in the series. So he's going to wrap those things up. But, I think the overall finale is pretty much going to be what we saw on TV, because that's what Martin told the showrunners. That's why they went in the direction they did. All right. So, Flavor here, it says, oh, George is worse. He won't let anyone write it besides him. Well, Robert Jordan didn't have a choice. Robert Jordan was dead. So it was either leave everybody hanging. But I think Jordan knew he was, if I remember right, I think Jordan, his death was not something sudden. And I think he had already had discussions with Brandon Sanderson about finishing up The Wheel of Time. Nefarious Coel's like, yeah, Jordanitis. I've heard that before. I did not make that up. So I have heard that before, because I know for a fact, because I've been reading A Song of Ice and Fire since it first came out. And although I got to be honest, I did not read the last book that came out, because it gets to the point where it's like so many years between books. But I remember, it's kind of funny now. We're just kind of, just doing our usual, just talking and chat. See, we ran through the news so quick tonight. We have time to do this. Anyway, I was going to say that with Song of Ice and Fire, I remember my best friend Elliot was also reading A Game of Thrones when it first came out, because I said, hey, dude, book's really good. You should check it out. Of course, we got to the end about the same time, and it was like, holy Ned. But I'll never forget, I was down. I used to go bum around. I used to have Mondays off. And I used to go into this one area of Chicago towards the lake that had all these used bookstores. And I used to just spend my day popping around the used bookstores. I go have some pizza for lunch and, kick back, relax. And Kabuki Kids started in the 90s, right? Yes. So yes, Flaming Heron says, yeah, there's no Night King in the books. No. And gosh, now I can't remember her name. The mother, the Stark mom, is still alive, kinda, in the books, right? But anyway, so I'll never forget on a lurk, because I almost never went into the new bookstore that was down there. I think it was like a Borders or something like that. I thought, yeah, I'm going to watch. Let's see what's in Borders. I walked in the Borders and I thought to myself, hey, I wonder if the next book in this series has come out. And I went to the fantasy science fiction section, and sure enough, there it was. And I was like, oh, cool, it's out. And it had just come out that day. I was like, what? Because for one, I didn't think books came out on Mondays. I thought they came out on Wednesday. Isn't that the usual release date for stuff? Wednesdays, comics, games, usually stuff that's showing up at game stores, comic shops. It's usually Wednesday is your release date. So yeah, I thought that was super weird that I was like, hey, I wonder if that next book is out. I just go look and I'm like, oh, look, it is. It came out today. Flaming Heron's like, oh, Borders, that's a blast from the past. I'll give you another blast from the past. Walden Books. Remember popping into Walden Books and taking a look at the different role-playing books. Even if I wasn't going to pick any up, I'd always look through and, oh man, that's some pretty nice art. Ooh, I like that. Ooh, I love that. I love that cover. So Kabuki Kid says, yeah, I thought new releases are on Wednesdays too. I know sometimes it's very strange. Sometimes we'll see some different things because I know there have actually been some games that have come out that were available as of that Sunday. Kind of like Sunday. Okay. Yep. So Kabuki Kid says, yeah, I loved Walden Books. Went there for D&D stuff. Yep. The old days of going to the bookstore. Used to love going to the bookstore. Oh, well. Now I just, I mainly listen to audiobooks. I don't really have a lot of time to just kick back and just read for pleasure, or I'm reading, stuff like this, right? So anyway, that is it for tonight's show. Nefarious Coel says they picked up the entire first edition of Earth Dawn at Walden Books. That's a game system that doesn't get as much love as it probably deserves. So Fleming Heron says it's called Booktopia in Australia. I think that's Walden Books. Because Borders is still around. Walden is gone. Walden's long gone. So one of these days I ought to go back into the city. It's been a long time since I went down. It was called Newtown. Not real far from Wrigley Field. I should go down there and see what used bookstores are still around there. Probably not many, because that area was I don't want to say gentrified, because it was fairly yuppie back in the day, but I think I would take a guess that the real estate is probably worth so much that they were like, no, used bookstores, no. So Booktopia is Borders. Oh, okay. Cool deal. Oh yeah, that's right. I have heard that before. All righty. Anyway, so if you like this video, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. We're only 6 subscribers. I think it's 6 subscribers away from 2,500. Anyway, if you do subscribe, ring that notification bell, because it will not only let you know when the Daily Dope streams live, Monday through Thursday nights right here on YouTube. It'll also tell you when my standalone videos get uploaded. And as I mentioned, tomorrow morning, at least tomorrow morning, my time, you can get to take a peek at the Arcane spell cards for Pathfinder 2nd edition. I don't go through all of them, but I give you a good idea. And to be honest, these look like they would be really useful. They really do. All right. Anyway, for those of you who are watching live and hanging out in chat, thank you very much for always keeping me company. So, and let's hope that everything goes well with Dan Lane's surgery. I know some folks popped in a little later in chat, but Dan Lane had popped in getting prepped for brain surgery. So hopefully everything works out for the best for Dan. So we're sending very healing thoughts his way. Anyway, so if you watch live, thank you very much. If you happen to watch after the fact, maybe you even watch live on Memorex, right? I certainly appreciate anybody taking time out to watch my silliness. And of course, I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's our Friday. So everybody enjoy the rest of your Wednesday night / Thursday morning. And as I like to close out during this time of pandemic, please do your best to be smart. Stay safe. Oh, you're still here.
Well, if that's the case, by all means, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel by clicking right here. And of course, if you want to catch up on past episodes of The Daily Dope, check out this playlist. And if you'd like to see what YouTube's recommending you take a peek at from the channel, just give a click right over here. Of course, I'm Jeff McAleer, and once again, thank you very much for watching.